quote for the day from Franklin D. Roosevelt: "The school is the last expenditure upon which Americans should be willing to economize." And apropos of that, Matt Welch is here with us. He's the editor-in-chief of Reason Magazine, reason.com, the website. And Matt, first of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. Great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
The H1B visa program, there is an industry front group that's out here beating the drum for more visas so that high-tech companies in particular, but also medical service companies and whatnot, can bring in professional, highly educated people into the United States. And you're saying that we should, I believe, that we should simply allow anybody who wants to work here to come in here and work here. Do I have that right?
Basically, yeah. At this point, for the last several years, dating from before our economic downturn, we've been losing high-skilled immigrants, not just because we have an H1B chokehold, which is something like 85,000 slots that fill up or are applied for on the first day that they're offered, but because we're becoming less and less attractive to the best and the brightest of immigrants out there. Our economy is becoming less dynamic. It's a less interesting place to live. People from India and China, especially, who've been profoundly influential in the development of the Silicon Valley. They've created, 1 out of 2 Silicon Valley jobs has been created by an immigrant. They're going back home, or they're staying there. They come here for their higher education. They look around, and even if they have a decent situation here, they're going home. So if we create these chokeholds, we're going to continue losing out this very dynamic sector of the population.
I'm not buying it for a minute, Matt. It's not for a minute. What you're saying is that we should not bother to invest in educating Americans so that they can be sufficiently well qualified to hold these jobs.
Yeah,
or for that matter, we shouldn't bother to hire the literally hundreds of thousands of Americans who hold advanced degrees right now in the high-tech sector who are looking for work. And every time I do this segment, we're live on the air in San Francisco and Los Angeles, all up and down the West Coast, all over the country, but in particular there, where Silicon Valley is, and we get calls from people. I got a master's degree in computer programming. I can't get a job because my last job paid $90,000 a year, and they can hire somebody from overseas who will come over here and do it for $60,000.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, if you had a heart surgery, would you want the best doctor or the most American doctor?
I want the best doctor coming out of the United States.
Okay.
One of the problems that we have is in Denmark, not only do they offer free college education all the way up to MD or PhD, they even pay students a couple $100 a month for their books and their housing. So those people are well educated and they stay in the country. They're not importing doctors into Denmark. They're not importing doctors into France. These countries are educating their own people. Why should we have an economy? Why should we have to have an economy based on bringing cheaper labor into the country? It seems insane to me.
Well, one reason is I presume that you're a fan of entitlements such as Social Security and Medicare and stuff. We can't afford that as it is.
Our Social Security and Medicare are nothing compared to those countries I just named.
If you choke off the supply of young, enthusiastic labor, we will have nobody left to pay for this stuff. The whole
Wait a minute, you telling me that somebody's not going to go to college in the United States and become a PhD in computer programming or engineering because they have to pay into Social Security and Medicare?
No. What I'm saying is that we rely, as Americans, to pay for the retired workers in America rely on a strong workforce in America to pay for their
right, and the same in England, and the same in France, and the same in Germany, and the same in Denmark,
right,
and the same in Norway, and the same in Costa Rica.
Crisis because they don't have
most of those countries are not having a crisis around that particular issue.
Crisis. There's a reason why these countries, all of them, have these sort of hysterical pro-birth rate policies because they're afraid that they don't have a replacement age population. We do. We have babies, and we also have immigrants, most importantly, and they have always been the most dynamic sector of our economy. We're a nation of immigrants and always have been. They create jobs. They create entrepreneurial situations. And look, if your friend...
So you're telling me that because somebody comes here from some other country, they're more likely to create a job than somebody who's born here. And therefore we should...
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Every single study that has been done on that issue, the answer is not just yes,
so let's say just to hell with America, to hell with American
workers.
I'm not saying to hell with America. They can all live on the friggin' streets. We don't give a damn. All we need to do is provide them with public toilets and public showers and maybe a little homeless village for them. And we're going to bring in all the doctors and all the engineers from India.
Absolutely not. America has always been enriched by immigrants. I don't believe that because I was born in this country that I am entitled to build a big wall on the Mexican border and tell everybody you can't come here and create a job because you're not America. Look, if we had drawn up the gates in a Lou Dobbs-style fashion 40 years ago, we would still have 70 million jobs.
Nobody is advocating the insanity of putting walls around.
That.
What I am suggesting, Matt, is that we do the exact same thing that
workers. That's exactly what you're saying. You might
the countries that you're talking about do the same thing. I went through personally, I doubt that you've ever done this. I personally went through the process of applying for a work visa to live in Germany for 1 year and work there. I personally went through the process of applying for a work visa.
I've married an immigrant. I'm not talking out of ignorance here.
So you've been through the process in another country, a fully developed country like I did in Australia, where it took me 3 months to get a work visa so that I could give one lecture for which I was paid $10,000.
Did you feel pretty good about that?
It took 3 months to fill out the paperwork. My point is that other countries protect their workforces. Why shouldn't we?
Because we're a dynamic country.
Because we don't give a damn about our workforce. Because we only want the corporations to make the most money.
Absolutely not. I mean, do you want Albert Pujols to not play first base for the St. Louis Cardinals? You want to bring back Boog Powell? No, we've always attracted the best and the brightest. They come here because we have the best.
Here's the bottom line for me: if you want the American economy to grow, the American economy and any economy grows based on wages. Wages is the sole driver. Ask any economist or most economists. Wages are the sole driver in an economy. They create demand.
About that.
Wages create demand. People buy things, particularly working people who spend virtually all of their wages. They buy things. That creates demand for goods and services, which are then met by entrepreneurs and businesses. And so if you want to drive up demand, if you want to stimulate and build an economy, you need to increase wages. And the process that you're advocating of driving down wages, as Alan Greenspan advocated, where he said, by keeping out skilled workers, we're actually giving a government subsidy to the American skilled workers. Well, that's right. And that's why every country in the world does it, so that they can have a vibrant economy.
Every country in the world has been trying to create their own Silicon Valley for 15 or 20 years.
With their own people.
With their own people.
And India's and China's are doing very well, thank you very much.
They're doing well now because they have much more dynamic economies. And because they're welcoming the type of people that we are now stupidly trying to discourage from staying or coming here.
So what do you say to an American who says, I've got $100,000 in college debt, and I've got my master's degree in computer science or computer programming, and I'm just not willing to work for Microsoft. Well, I don't want to name a company name for some high tech company for the $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 that they can hire an Indian who would only make $20,000 in India for. I'd really would like to make $80,000 or $90,000. Nobody will pay me.
I've made more than $40,000 very few years of my life. But
You're
I would
not
also
from
say
India,
go
man.
into aerospace. Go into aerospace. They're desperate for Americans to work in aerospace. My father's worked there for 45 years. They don't want to.
So that's the clue. We all become rocket scientists. Matt Welch, Reason.org. Matt, thanks for the conversation.
Thanks for having me.